So what are context clues? Context clues are hints that the author gives you to help you define a difficult or unusual word. Look for words before or after the unknown word, sentences before or after the unknown word, or punctuation marks like a comma or a dash, or keywords such as or and that is. There are three major types of context clues. The first one is the explanation type. How does it work? Well, the author will provide an explanation that helps the reader get the meaning of the word. For example, Mom's voice was tremulous when she gave us the bad news. She was clearly holding back her tears and was having a great deal of trouble explaining what happened. We can see here that someone that's holding back tears and having trouble explaining something, that might make your voice a little shaky. So we can kind of put that explanation type of clue to help us understand that the word tremulous might mean shaky because she's upset. The summary type clue. It sums up an idea, word, or concept. For example, you have offered no proof, no convincing ideas, nor a shred of convincing evidence to change my mind. Your argument is devoid of logical reasons. So they sort of summarize what devoid means. You have no proof, no ideas, no evidence. If you don't have anything to support something, it means it's lacking logical reasons. So we know that devoid might mean a lack of something. And the example type clue. This is when the author will provide a specific example of the unknown word. Margot was a great admirer of formal ceremonies, such as weddings, graduations, and inaugurations. We are given a direct example of what a ceremony is. It's some sort of a formal event. Let's practice. Duke had not purchased gas in over 2 weeks. When he arrived at the gas station, he was shocked to see the exorbitant price the station was charging for a gallon of regular unleaded. Duke shouted, $3 a gallon for regular? That's crazy. I'm going to have to take a second job just to fill my tank. Based on its context here, the meaning of exorbitant is what? Expensive, affordable, popular, or controversial. If you need to take a second job to be able to pay for something, that means that it's absolutely not affordable. Not many people want to be shocked. They don't want to shout. These are all negative things. So this isn't a very popular idea. Now, what makes more sense here? The fact that the gas is expensive or that it's controversial? Given the context here, I really can't determine if it's controversial or not, but I can get a pretty clear sense that it's probably something that's very expensive. Let's try another one. As Brian rounded the corner, he saw the comic book store in the distance. As he walked, his mind raced. He had heard his friends tell so many stories about how the android's dungeon made all other comic book stores look like jokes. He was sure that it would have every comic book he could imagine. Upon arriving in the store, he only saw 10 comic books. The rest of the store was filled with trading cards and role-playing games. It was at that point he realized that he had been beguiled by deceitful descriptions of the store. He would never trust his friends again. So we're trying to determine the meaning of the word beguiled. Beguiled. Misled, frightened, dazed, or annoyed. He doesn't seem frightened. He has been frightened by deceitful descriptions. No, that doesn't make sense. Dazed. He doesn't seem very dazed here. He's pretty zoned in on what's going on. And while he might be annoyed because he can't trust his friends, I think the better answer here is that he was misled. He thought that they were going to have every comic book he could imagine. But when he gets there, there's only 10 comic books. That's hardly every comic book he could imagine. So while they made it sound like it was awesome, the comic book was actually, well, kind of a joke. So to be beguiled is to be misled. Let's try another one. Uranium, a radioactive metallic element, has been found to be useful in many ways, namely to fuel power plants. However, it has its share of problems. One major problem is radiation sickness, which causes severe damage to the human body. Scientists who work with uranium must protect themselves from the energy that travels in waves from the element. What is one way that uranium is useful? So something that is useful. Let's just look at our answer choices here. Making humans sick. That does not sound like a useful thing. Fuel power plants. It says here it is useful in many ways, namely to fuel power plants. Well, it's given you the answer right there. Same passage, different question. What does radiation mean? It's some sort of a problem. So we know that. It's a problem, so it's not a good thing. It's causing damage. So radiation itself isn't a human. Radiation sickness. It's not protecting us because it's making us sick. So we can get rid of that one. Is radiation in itself damage, or is radiation a wave of energy? It says here that radiation travels in waves, protecting themselves from energy that travels in waves. So radiation causes damage. Radiation is not damage itself. It's what causes the damage. Radiation is waves of energy.